Welcome to another episode of Cypher Outside. After 2 years of testing, I'm finally doing a review video of my truck camper. A couple subscribers had asked some questions and I hope to answer them in this film. If you'd like to see how I built this camper, please stay tuned for the build tutorial coming after the review. Thanks for tuning in and please enjoy the film.
Hello everyone, it's time to show you a full review of my camper. I've used it now for 2 seasons. I've really enjoyed it. There's a lot of things that I'd like to change with it. There's a lot of things that have evolved as time went on. But let me show you real quick how it sets up. Notice the tailgate stays up. A lot of maneuverability. Our Rainfly. Just want to take a minute and talk about this slide feature here. So this part here slides into here. So this all closes, so then you can close the tailgate. And reason for that is this is a Ford F-150. This is a 5.5 foot bed. I am a 6'4". If I extend this gives me 7 feet to the end here. Works very well for bedding. Top up there is a Rainfly. You saw me install earlier. I could do something with canvas or something like that, but it really worked out a head scrap. Added the Snoopy for looks, so it wasn't just some big box. Pinstripe for fun. And it's been a great camper. I put this thing through the mill. It has pushed its way through bushes and trees that are over the trail and hasn't sustained any damage at all. As you can see from the front there, still quite nice, and that's hit a lot of trees and a lot of bushes, pushed it all out of the way. Held up really well. Hard to notice here is I purposely left this out. You can notice here, so I could have this vent underneath there. If you see, there's a screen there. Inside there's a little hatch that you can actually open and close to allow air in or out. Yes, this is a prototype. I threw it together fairly quickly. There are some spots that it leaks that I've had to patch up. But like I said, it's a prototype. I didn't expect it to go 2 seasons. This is actually going to be its 3rd. So I'm pretty happy with the prototype's performance. Trick for stabilization. That is my spare tire jack. Just put it right underneath the ball there. Lift up on the back of the truck. Keeps them shaking and stabilizes. Also levels a little bit.
As you watch me put together all the puzzle pieces of the trailer, understand that this prototype is already becoming obsolete. When I build my new one, hopefully next season, I've already developed a system that the bunk beds will deploy more naturally and be a lot easier to deal with. I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out, but this large piece that I'm pulling out to make the top bunk, I actually slide it up underneath the current bed now, and it makes it so much easier to deal with than pulling it out and popping into place like it is. I just have to slide it out from underneath the current mattress and then it's already there. The bedding here is very simple. It's a 4-inch mattress pad that came from my old tent trailer, along with a self-inflating mattress pad that I put underneath it. That kind of gives the whole thing some rigidity and holds it in place. And then wrapped it with a twin-size sheet and then put a sleeping bag on top. When I'm done, they just fold up and flip over.
All right, so here we are, all set up, ready for bed. Now, I'll give you a little history here. This little lip here runs along there. You notice all these have a little lip. It used to be a board that went across right here, making all this one big queen-size bed, which worked great for my wife and I. But my wife has since passed, so now this camper mainly is used by my son and I. So my son and I use these bunk beds. Much nicer. Once I build him his own trailer, I'll probably put this back to a larger bed, but maybe only about here. This piece here was an extension for the bed. I took it out, just gives me more floor room here. Eventually I will make a larger piece that goes in and fills this whole section in. I kind of like having the bed open underneath there because I use it for storage of different things. Like that purple backpack right there is actually my heater for in here. It's just a catalytic Mr. Buddy, small one. And honestly, I've only had to use it maybe once or twice when it was below freezing. Haven't needed it. The walls of this are very well insulated. And as you can see, Charles bought me this wonderful tapestry to cover the top. Makes it really cool inside. Got these windows for free on Craigslist. Unfortunately, they don't open, but they do provide a lot of light and a way to look out, and kind of takes away the claustrophobic feeling of a 5x7 foot box. Stepping out, I've also got this cheap screen here, and you can see it's got little tabs of Velcro here, and they attach on the inside to hold it in place, and works well to keep the bugs out. Wouldn't mind getting something a little better, but it's very cozy, very comfortable. Oh, not to mention my chair there. That chair can actually pull out of there and be used out here as well.
There it is, my proof of concept. 1,800-mile move from Southern California to Oregon proved this box to be worthy. That gave me the idea to build a camper. The cab-over design was a little bit too much for the truck, so I went with the current option. My design is much that of a teardrop camper. All plywood construction. What I've done is taken basically 2 walls of plywood, glued them together with studs in the center to make a strong, rigid wall. This wall also, not seen in any of this video, I filled with foam. This way it gave me a great insulation barrier, also gave the structure a lot of rigidity. Here I'm cutting out the pieces that will become my ceiling joists. By gluing and screwing them together, it becomes very strong and my beams will be very sturdy. I didn't say this earlier, but one side of my plywood has a notch in it. The other side doesn't. This way when I lay these joists in, they can slip into a notch and then not go all the way through the other side. Each ceiling joist is glued and screwed into place and then clamped into place and left for 24 hours. With the use of a cheap drop cloth, I turned my truck into a giant bathtub. So, you might be wondering, why didn't you just leave it soaking there? Well, I didn't use marine grade plywood. This is the cheap underlayment plywood, 3/8 stuff, the stuff that if you soak too long will come apart. So, with that in mind, I wanted to work quickly and use the laws of physics there to help bend it. I knew that once the glue loosened up, if I didn't have it wet too long, that it would hold together nicely. After being good and wet, I screwed the bottom in and started clamping it into place. Seeing this gap open up, I was surprised at first, but then happy, realizing that I could actually turn it into a vent. This was the most difficult part of the build. Couldn't use too much muscle, had to use just enough finesse, and just about every weird little thing in my shop to make it fit. The last little piece of the roof there was not filmed. It's just a solid piece of plywood, no big deal. With the outer shell all together, it was time to start fitting the thing together. I put it on the truck for a nice dry fit. I filled in all the holes and nail spots, everything the best I could to get it ready for paint, made sure it all fit well together, and then cut the door, put my hinges on, realizing that I needed to put one smaller hinge there at the bottom so I could close my tailgate. Hit the whole thing with a real thick coat of primer, several thick coats, before I put on the red paint. The tie-down method's real simple. A big hook with an angle iron, bolted to the bed of the truck. The hook just goes in underneath, locks in on the metal bed rail, and then cinches up tight. Simple set of clasps hold the slide out in place. With the slide in the out position, this shows that the bed can be turned into a couch. I resurrected these old straps and buckles from some old backpacks. Really make it easy to keep everything in place as I'm driving. This view shows the camper pushed in and ready for travel, and you still have a little couch. Here I'm demonstrating how easy it is to open and deploy the camper. As you look inside, you'll see that I've added cushions at this point, and it's become quite cozy. And when it's opened up, it makes a nice little seating area. This is kind of how I want to put it back to a little bit, but not with a queen-size bed, just with a full-size bed. Now, as far as the Rainfly goes, yes, it's a solid piece of wood that just has primer on it. Now, this is not sitting in the weather 24/7. It's only out there for the night, maybe the weekend. Here's another look at it with the bed down. Notice one side's only at 5 feet, the other side is at 7 feet. My wife was only 5'3". It worked out pretty good. This gave us a 2 foot by 2 foot square we could stand up in with the door closed. Boy, those windows and that tapestry really make a difference. Important to note some specs for you. Fully loaded with everything in it, water, wet, and food, this whole thing weighs 675 pounds. That's the current weight with the windows, the tapestry, and all the upgrades. On my next build, I'll probably take another 100 pounds or so off by using 1/4-inch plywood and fiberglass. Thanks for watching another episode of Cypher Outside. As usual, God bless. Thanks for watching.